Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to our Test Drive podcast number 26. I'm Lee Bodette, your host, and I've been a radio broadcaster for over 40 years. I host a series called Test Drive on the YouTube channel, and I'm the front man and host of Sport Car USA, and of course, a car enthusiast my entire life, for sure. With me, as always, is Scott Nickerson from Sport Car USA. What's going on, Scott?
Not too much, Lee.
All right, good to see you. We are pretty excited as we finally got our showcase in last Friday here at the Handy Toyota and Handy Chevy campus, all part of Sport Car USA, of course. We're all sisters and brothers, if you will. But we did have a showcase, and it did rain a little, Scott.
We got lucky almost 100% of the way.
We did.
We had our showcase scheduled for 6:45 or so, and then one of the people who helps organize all of that came up to me. He's like, Scott, Lee, you got to go over there now. We're moving it up.
Yeah.
They can see the clouds starting rolling, and I was like, it'll be fine. Tail end of the showcase, it starts to drizzle, and I look to my left at the exit of our parking lot, and I see a couple cars filing out. So luckily we dodged it, but
yeah, we definitely dodged some raindrops. We dodged a bullet. And the thing is, we talked with a lot of people. Now, the event was 5 to 8 p.m. On a Friday, this past Friday on the 25th of August. It's been a crazy summer, as most of you know, if you've been listening to these podcasts and watching these podcasts. It's been raining just about every other day here in Vermont and northern New York. So we said we're going to do this one, rain or shine. And for the most part, it was pretty clear, not much rain happening, a few sprinkles here and there. The problem was that the surrounding areas, we are in northern Vermont, near the Canadian border, about 10 minutes away, 15 minutes away, if that. And the surrounding areas were getting hammered with rain.
Yeah, there was someone who was bringing their red eye, and they were coming from an area maybe 30 minutes away,
right?
Not even, but it's not very far away by air. It's just kind of divided by some water. But it was downpouring.
Yeah,
they were driving their red eye here, so they sacrificed some stuff to come out to the show. But
yeah, and when you have a special car, my thinking is I'm not taking mine out in the rain.
I know you're not psyched.
I brought the 2020 Corvette to the showcase, and I wasn't real happy. I was kind of like nudged by my general manager to bring it, and I did bring it because I want to stay employed, number one. But I talked with some people from Essex Junction, Vermont, and that's about 30 minutes away. We're in St. Albans, Vermont, heading south from here. They told me it was pouring buckets. I'm just thinking, if you're at home and you know that there's a showcase event in St. Albans and it's pouring rain all around you, why would you come?
Yeah, but we had good turnout.
We did have a good turnout. We really did.
Considering that we were in this weird bubble of no rain and everywhere else was getting hammered, we had quite a few cars come out, and we've already released some highlights of the show and kind of like the full showcase of cars that came out yesterday on our YouTube and Facebook pages. But we've got some interviews that we're going to look at today, which were cut a little bit short. There's definitely some people we would have loved to speak to, but they either took off a little earlier because of the rain, or we had to push some things around. But we definitely got some good interactions, some cool stuff.
Yeah.
And people had a good time.
That's a great way to describe it, Scott, is that we were in a bubble.
Yeah.
Not like the NBA bubble.
No.
During the coronavirus, but it felt like a bubble. We looked all around. We could see the clouds getting really dark. And it's like, oh my goodness. And that's like, you did mention that we had to move things up a bit. Normally we would go to 8 o'clock, and I think we moved things up to around 6:45 or so, the showcase of cars, because what we do is Sport Car USA has modern muscle cars, dozens upon dozens. We wanted to showcase those, and I would be the MC talking a little bit about each car. So it kind of looked like they were lining up for NASCAR race.
Yep, they were like a starting grid.
Yeah, the starting grid was really cool to see. We made it through, and just made it through. Yeah. Right after that, we wrapped it up, and it started pouring.
Yeah,
it was kind of a strange rain. It was a light rain, but heavy. Does that make any sense at all?
The drops themselves were light, but it was fast.
Yeah,
I guess.
that's for sure.
It was bizarre. And, of course, the day before, on Thursday,
right,
bright and sunny.
Of course. Yeah, that's the way it's been all
this whole
summer.
Weekend, today, beautiful. We're recording this on Friday.
Labor Day weekend.
Yep, today, beautiful. All of Labor Day weekend, beautiful. Which is surprising.
Yeah, and next week, sunny in the 90s.
Yeah, this past week has been like perfect, like fall almost weather.
Yeah.
And what can you do?
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do. So I grew up in Vermont my entire life, born and bred, and I've never seen anything like this summer, ever.
So much rain.
Yeah.
This is like a spring. You'd think it's still spring with the amount of rain we're getting.
Right.
And it's just been nonstop.
I was just talking to one of the sales associates here at Handy Toyota, again, one of our sister companies, and he just sold a car to a couple. Their main concern was, is this a flood car?
Yep.
It's a brand new Toyota. Yep. No, he told them Toyota would not feel too good about selling cars that have been in floods.
That's a reasonable question, though.
It is. It's on everybody's mind, yeah.
Even
no
with
way.
The other day we had, the ground I feel like hasn't had a good chance to dry.
Right.
Like not much rain and it's piling up, but we pulled it off.
And actually talking to that same Toyota sales rep, he said that they went through some special training because of all the rain here in the North Country this year and all the flooding, just devastating flooding, almost like Hurricane Irene, if not worse. They had to go through training to identify cars that are coming in to make sure they do not have flood damage.
Huh.
Yeah. So what they're doing now is they're, as they say in the business, they're racking the car, putting the car up on the lift, taking a good look at it, looking for mold, stains of any type.
Like silt deposits.
Exactly.
Like
Sand, right? It's pretty miserable. But you got to be real careful if you own a car dealership because there are some people out there that are, let's just say, not real honest.
Yep.
And they will take advantage of others by buying these flood cars.
Trying to flip them. Yep.
Now, dealerships, I will tell you this. If you have a car dealership and you have brand new cars that have been affected by floods, you cannot sell those. You cannot sell them to anyone. Somebody wants to give you a $5,000 over sticker. Why would they do that? But you cannot. You have to leave them as they are. And as a dealer told me, who's from Hardwick, Vermont, they were really devastated by this flooding. The Ford Motor Company, Ford dealer, they would come in, collect the cars, and he said, what are you going to do with them? Crush them. Absolutely crush the heck out of them. And they want nothing to do with these vehicles being sold to any individuals. Even if you wanted to, let's say, take a part or two off of one of these flood cars, can do it.
Wow.
Yeah, roof rack, leave it on.
That's unfortunate.
Or they will not get their insurance money.
Wow.
Yeah. I think he said $5.2 million worth of damage at this particular dealership in Hardwick, Vermont.
And that's just one.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So to get back to our showcase, we were very excited to finally have one.
Yes.
And we had the Creamy truck, which was very popular. Had the St. Albans Town and St. Albans City fire departments here.
Yep.
Great seeing those guys and gals.
The giant American flag.
That was so cool. And this is a huge flag. Please take a look at some of our videos online. But very large flag, the largest one I've ever seen. I actually hear they have a larger one.
All right, next year.
They actually have a larger flag than this one.
Next year. We'll bigger.
So when the cars would be rolling in, some of our photographers would be out there taking pictures of the cars right by the American flag up above.
Yeah, I think those are really good shots.
Nice touch.
Yeah, it's fun. And those are some things that, like, if you come to our shows that you can expect to be able to, like, take home. Like, we post all those pictures on our Facebook pages, and if you reach out, we can give you full resolution copies or whatever. But, that's what I think it's all about, isn't, like, our show is a little bit more unique where we don't do awards and stuff. At least this past year we didn't.
Yeah.
There's talks about doing awards and doing it a little bit differently next year, bigger and better.
Mm-hmm.
But people come to just hang out. We had a lot of different car clubs that showed up. We had, I know, the Twisted Tuners, Outcast Cruisers, I believe is their name.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a few others, the Old Derelicts, who we've spoken to on the podcast
yes, we
before. A couple of those guys came out, and I think that's really fun. Is like Sport Car USA kind of wants to unify all of the car enthusiasts in the state and beyond. We're kind of pushing forward to create. We've talked about it in this last week. Kind of create a forum where if you run this car show or that car show, you can bounce ideas off other people that run car shows, and you can come together so that the audience that goes to this show also knows about the other ones.
Yeah.
And I think that doing something like that helps everybody run shows, because a lot of them are for charity.
Right.
And they're raising money for good causes like Camp Tecumseh or the local fire departments and things like that. So.
Right. Camp Tecumseh is a camp for kids that have cancer. They get to spend a week or two there in the islands, North Hero, South Hero, right around there. And they have a couple of weeks where they don't have to think about their illness and do what kids are supposed to do, have
summer
fun.
Camp stuff. And,
Yeah.
And that's the Old Derelict show that they hosted.
Right.
And, of course, we talked to them. So there's all kinds of really good stuff that comes out of car shows. It's not just people revving their engines and doing burnouts and stuff. But, yeah, I think unifying all those groups is really beneficial. So
yeah, to me, our showcase of cars, it doesn't seem like a quote-unquote car show.
No.
It feels like a family event for young and old just to have a good time on a Friday early evening.
Yep.
We
had all kinds of every age, anyone you
absolutely
could think of was there.
And everything's free as far as like the food goes, the swag. We had some Sport Car USA memorabilia we were giving away, and we hope to have more and different types of memorabilia down the road. We're working on that as well for Sport Car USA. I think one of the favorite parts of the show for me, because I'm a very patriotic guy, I was in the National Guard a couple of times, in the Air National Guard and the Army National Guard, but I'm just very patriotic, is the singing of the national anthem. You mentioned the big flag. We've been talking about that. And just everything stops. And people so respectful, taking their hats off, standing for our national anthem. It was cool to see.
Yeah, and I think it's a good touch, especially with that giant flag hanging over the entryway of our show. And it's a good kickoff.
Very classy.
And it was very well done.
Yeah,
the rendition
absolutely. Next year, you alluded to a little bit, we may, again, we're all in the beginning stages of our planning for 2024, but we may just have one gigantic event instead of a monthly event during the spring and summer. And I'm talking an event with entertainment. We had entertainment this year with a DJ.
Maybe some bands.
Some bands, yeah.
Food trucks.
Food trucks.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. We're going to have some local clubs. I know we talked to them in the past, but they have these little, they're like the Shriners.
Yeah.
They have these little cars that kids can climb in and sit in. I haven't proposed that as an official idea yet, but I think it'd be cool to have like a racing simulator.
Yeah.
I think that could be a cool touch. Have like something that the show we went to a couple weeks ago in Waterbury did is they had a tech tent. And I think if we could have them bring something like that where they show like a cutaway of an engine, the sleeve valve engine or whatever it was. And I think that's the stuff that gets the kids involved.
Right.
Is especially in the classic cars is, they don't care about a steam engine vehicle necessarily as much as a loud modern muscle car. Yeah. But I think bridging that gap, you could have all kinds of stuff at a show like that.
I agree.
And we got the space.
We certainly have the space here at Sport Car USA. The handy Chevy, handy Toyota dealership is very large, many acres, and I'm sure that we will do a good job pulling that off next year if that's the route we decide to go on. But I just love being in Franklin County, Vermont, because it's such a giving community. Oh, yeah. We had the Asher young man.
Yep, Asher Lawrence.
Yeah, he has a disease that is just like ALS, except it's a child. And they raised 99% of the funds towards a new van for this young man. It all came from Franklin County.
Yep.
99%.
Yeah, and they were out again at our last showcase, and I think they did pretty well.
Yeah.
So I think he's got the van, like you're saying, he's fully funded. They've got the van already, so they're still raising more funds, and he's been able to go down and get his treatments. So. Yeah. It's really, like you said, really giving community.
I think most people love being a part of something like this. It's not all about Sport Car USA. It really is an event that represents what we do in Franklin County. We weren't looking to sell sport cars at this event. If we sold one or two, sure, but we aren't saying, okay, this one is $45,000 tonight only. It's not what this is all about.
I don't know if
we did not talk prices. No.
A single time.
We just showed the cars, and then people brought their cars.
Yeah.
And it's just a good old time. So you mentioned we did get some interviews in. We tried before the rain started pelting us.
Not as many as we would have liked, but
No.
I think we got some really quality interviews.
All right, so we're going to take a look at some of those and listen to some of those interviews coming right up. Scott Nickerson from Sport Car USA, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Lee.
And we'll see you on podcast number 27.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I know you will be. Thanks to everyone for listening to our Test Drive podcast today. I'm your host, Lee Bodette. Be sure to check out our Test Drive series on YouTube. And we'll see you next time on our Test Drive podcast. And remember, let's never forget the men and women serving this great country of ours. Goodbye, everybody.